Heartwarming journey, billionaire discovers amazing love after adopting 3 abandoned triplets. Jack Mitchell strode through the grand ballroom, laughter and clinking glasses echoing around him. From the outside, he was everything people aspire to be: a billionaire with a picturesque life, lavish parties, and pals in high places. But as he raised his glass, his heart felt as hollow as the crystal he held. Wealth didn't fill the emptiness gnawing at him, no matter how many exclusive galas he attended or successful deals he made. It was at that charity gala, in a moment that felt like destiny, that everything changed. A soft-spoken woman began sharing the heartbreaking story of 3 abandoned triplets. Their small faces, full of innocence, flooded his mind. Her words sank deep. They had lost so much, yet still carried hope in their tiny hearts. Jack felt an urge rise within him, an ember of inspiration, or was it desperation? The thought of adopting them gripped him, and before he could backtrack, he made the decision that would rattle his affluent circle to its core. "Are you serious?" mocked one high society friend as Jack announced his bold new goal. Others raised eyebrows, their whispers sharp as knives. He could already hear the snickers, the judgment that painted him as a crazy billionaire chasing a wild fantasy. But he pushed their opinions aside. In the months that followed, he dove headfirst into fatherhood, which was a whirlwind of diaper changes, sleepless nights, and the breathtaking chaos reignited by giggles and tears. The girls, sweet, curious, and demanding all under 6, were nothing like the boardroom battles he was accustomed to. The shimmering city lights of Denver became the backdrop for a whole new reality. Jack found himself racing to prepare lunches instead of crunching numbers. He traded tailored suits for colorful tees and sneakers. He battled with emotions after dealing with nightmares that left the triplets crying. The sheer love he felt enveloped him, but doubts were also lurking, as were the judgments of the community. Some rallied behind him, but others claimed he was a distasteful novelty act. Then came the heartbreak. Just as Jack and the girls began to weave their lives together, their biological mother resurfaced. Panic set in. This was a woman whose absence had once liberated the girls but now threatened to shatter everything Jack had built. She brought with her the haunting past and the potential for tragedy. And now, he was stuck between 2 harsh realities: giving the girls their history or shielding them from painful truths. As tensions rose, so did Jack's resolve. He couldn't allow society's harsh judgments to dictate the love and care he was giving. Just when it seemed everything could crumble, he witnessed an eye-opening moment at the park: a little girl sobbing, taunted for her mismatched shoes. Jack felt a pang in his chest. It ignited something fierce inside him: the desire to protect not just his daughters but the beauty of their innocence from cruel adult perceptions. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With a renewed spirit, he anticipated the trials ahead, standing on the precipice of hope, love, and the unpredictable twists of family life. As turmoil loomed on the horizon, he knew he had to fight for the heart of his new family. Would he be able to shield his precious girls from the unrelenting shadows of their past, or would the pull of their former life tear them apart? The questions hung heavy in the air, ready to unfold in the chapters yet to come. Jack stood at the edge of the park, watching the wind tousle the girls' hair as they played. The sunlight glinted off their laughter, their innocence shining bright against the gray of uncertainty. Yet, in his heart, a storm brewed. The thought of their mother, the woman who had abandoned them, clawed at him like a relentless tide. As the girls chased each other, their giggles were the music he never knew he needed. But just watching them felt like walking a tightrope, inching closer to the abyss of what could happen if everything fell apart. Suddenly, he could hear the echo of whispers from the gala, reminding him how they had mocked his desire to be a father. But now, as he glanced at the triplets, he felt a fierce determination swelling within him. He would not let their history rewrite their future. Later that afternoon, as they returned home, Jack found himself lost in thought while the girls adorned the living room with toys and paintings from their latest art project. The chaos felt strangely comforting, like a warm blanket in a winter storm. But it was shattered when the doorbell rang. He opened the door, heart racing, to find a familiar face: Kate, their biological mother. "Jack, can we talk?" she asked, a mixture of vulnerability and defiance in her eyes. For a brief moment, he stood frozen. Behind her, the sun cast long shadows that danced like ghosts around them. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the confrontation. "You need to leave," he firmly replied, though his voice trembled with uncertainty. The girls were nearby, blissfully unaware of the tense exchange unraveling before them. "Please, I want to see them." Kate's voice cracked, revealing the pain of remembering what she had lost. Jack's heart wavered as he gazed into her eyes. They mirrored the same spark that lit up the girls' faces. He couldn't deny their connection, but every inch of him screamed to protect them from potential heartbreak. "Do you really think that's what's best for them?" he shot back, feeling like a lion ready to defend his pride. She opened her mouth to respond, but he saw a flash of doubt flicker across her face. "I messed up, Jack. I did terrible things," she said, taking a step closer. "But I want to change. I want to be part of their lives, their family." Her words were laced with desperation, but also a hint of sincerity that caught him off guard. Before Jack could respond, the triplets came bounding up to him, their faces lit with curiosity. "Daddy, who's that?" one of them asked, glancing between him and their mother with large, innocent eyes that he felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. In that moment, everything felt impossibly fragile. The girls deserved the truth, but how could he explain this woman to them? "Girls, this is someone who loves you," he said, feeling his heart twist. Kate knelt down, her demeanor softening as she smiled at the girls. "Hi, sweethearts," she said, though her voice shook. Jack clenched his fists, his protective instincts flaring. Memories of their broken past whispered like shadows, and he struggled to suppress the swirling emotions. "You have to understand," he began, glancing back at Kate, "you can't just waltz back into their lives after everything." But Kate's expression hardened. "They are my kids too. I have a right to know them. You can't keep them from me." Jack felt the ground shift beneath him. Would his determination to shield the girls just push their mother away, or worse, deepen the chasm for themselves? In that instant, the gravity of the situation crashed down on him like a tidal wave, leaving him scrambling for air. Just as tensions escalated, the sound of a small voice broke through the chaos. "Mommy?" It was one of the triplets, standing wide-eyed as the reality settled. Jack felt his heart race. The girls were curious about the woman claiming their history. Would this experience pull them toward their past, or could they fortify their future together? He held his breath, ready for whatever would come next. Would Kate's intentions be a healing balm or a poison? And just then, as uncertainty loomed, Jack made a silent vow to do everything in his power to protect his newfound family. What would his next step be? Would he be strong enough to reconcile their past with their future? The weight of their lives hung in the balance, and only time would tell how it would unfold. The air thickened with tension as Jack stared at the girls, their innocent faces filled with wonder. He could barely breathe, torn between a protective instinct and the flicker of hope Kate's presence stirred in him. Memories of their mother flooded back, fleeting smiles, whispered promises, and the ultimate betrayal. "Mommy?" The question hung in the air, heavy and raw. Jack watched as Kate's eyes widened, shimmering with unshed tears. She hesitated, caught between joy and the broken trust of a past she had abandoned. "Sweetheart," she whispered, voice breaking, "I'm here. Are you going to stay?" The little girl's words hit Jack like a punch. The question was simple, yet blistering in its complexity. His mind raced. How could he promise them anything? Taking a step forward, Jack drew the girls close, shielding them with his body. We need to have a conversation first, he said, his voice steady yet laced with urgency. He glanced at Kate, who looked like she was about to crumple under the weight of her choices. This isn't just about you or me. It's about them. Kate's gaze fell to the ground, but she nodded, understanding the gravity of the moment. I know I've made mistakes, Jack, but I want to make things right. I want to be their mother. The word struck a chord deep within him. The pain, the anger, they twisted in his chest like vines wrapping tighter. You can't just come back and claim them, he said, feeling the need to stand firm. Please, let me prove I can be prove. He interrupted, disbelief surging through him. You think a few sweet words will erase years of hurt? His heart raced, fueled by a mix of fear and fury as he glanced at the girls, their eyes wide and questioning. I know it won't be easy, Kate stumbled over her words, desperation creeping in. They deserve to know me. Don't you think they should have a choice? Choice? Jack echoed, his voice low and gravelly. You think they can choose the pain you've left behind? The scars you've created? Silence fell, heavy and oppressive. Jack could hear the distant laughter of other children, a stark contrast to the storm brewing in his heart. He knew this needed to be resolved, but how could he convey that sense of protection to the girls? One triplet reached out, tugging at Jack's sleeve, her big eyes shimmering with confusion and worry. Daddy, is she our mommy? With those words, everything shifted. The question rang out, stark and unyielding, tearing down Jack's defenses. He knelt, looking into his daughter's face, that innocent of love shining through the haze. She is, but it's complicated. Kate took a step closer, pleading. I don't expect you to understand, but I'm trying. I want to be a family. Jack's heart twisted painfully. Here was the woman who had shattered his ideal life, standing before him with hope glimmering in her eyes. But which hope would they choose, the surprise of a mother returning or the reality of a life built without her? Tension dripped from the moment as the girls watched, waiting for his answer. Would he shatter the hope in their eyes or perhaps take the first steps toward reconciling their past? The stakes felt impossibly high. Jack took a deep breath, mind racing with thoughts of the unknowns ahead. Could he ever trust Kate again? And even if he could, would the girls reap the benefits, or would the shadow of their mother's past loom over them like a hovering storm? Before he knew it, he faced an impossible choice. What if it doesn't go as we hope? And as Jack stared into the future, clouded with uncertainty, he couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest part of this journey was just beginning. His resolve began to solidify, yet doubts swirled endlessly in his mind. Would their reunion be a step toward bridging the gaps or only widen the chasms? The moment felt pregnant with possibility, and the next words out of Jack's mouth could change everything. Would he embrace the chaos or shield his family from further heartache? Jack took another breath, steadying himself. He knew what the girls needed to hear. He needed to find a way forward, for their sake, for his own. But could he do that while carrying the weight of betrayal in his heart? Listen, he said, voice trembling slightly, I want you to know that your mom, she's part of our story. A big part. But we have to be careful, okay? The girls, still holding on to him, nodded, their little hearts full of trust. Kate stood close, her face a mixture of desperation and hope as she took in the scene unfolding. She stepped closer, lowering her voice so only Jack could hear. What are you saying, Jack? He ran a hand through his hair, fighting back the swirl of emotions inside him. I'm saying maybe we can try to figure this out. Together. Her eyes widened, and in that moment, a flicker of something passable, a glimmer of hope mixed with a heavy fear crossed her face. You really mean that? I'm not making promises, he said, voice hardening. But I don't want to hurt them any more than they already have been. If you're really back, you have to show them who you are. No games, Kate. This is their heart we're playing with. Kate swallowed hard, her own conviction brewing as she nodded. I understand. I'll do what it takes. I owe them this. As the air lightened slightly, Jack noticed the girls, their little hands still entwined around his arms, eyes darting between their parents. They didn't fully understand the weight of the moment, but they felt the tension in the air. "Mommy?" one of the girls asked, her voice small and tentative as she looked up at Kate. "Can you tell us a story?" Jack exchanged a glance with Kate. The question felt monumental. It mirrored the entire situation. Could it be that simple? "Of course," Kate breathed, her voice warming. She knelt beside the girls, the smile she offered tentative but genuine. "I have so many stories to tell." "Well, at least I will. Stories about adventures, and love," and Jack was struck by her ease, her ability to transform the heaviness of their world into something light. Maybe, just maybe, there was a path forward. The girls leaned in, completely captivated. He watched as Kate began to weave tales of whimsical adventures and magical worlds. The laughter from the little ones started to fill the atmosphere, sweet, unaffected laughter that brushed away some of the heaviness. Seeing the girls respond to their mother left a strange ache in his chest. Was he wrong to resist? Could there be a way to forgive? In the midst of the moment, his heart waged a quiet war. He observed Kate's unwavering dedication, something he hadn't expected to see. The love she showed felt almost palpable but was intertwined with years of heartbreak. But could love, even a repainted version, be enough to erase the shadows? The lingering questions buzzed in his mind, echoing through the laughter. As the stories flowed, Jack remained quiet, watching and contemplating his own next steps. Far from resolved, he felt a battle within, a struggle between protecting the girls and opening up the door to something new. Endings were not entirely set in stone, but would they venture into the unknown, ready for renewal and healing? And just as fear and doubt threatened to engulf him once more, his daughter called out, "Daddy! Can we have her stay?" The room felt electric as Jack's heart hitched. This might be the moment of truth, the crossroads they all faced together. What would he choose? Before he could answer, expectant eyes turned to him, waiting, and within that silence, the weight of their future hung in the air, teetering on the edge of a decision. How would he navigate this? Would he dare to hope? Jack felt the air shift as his daughter's plea echoed in the room. It was almost as if time stood still. The laughter of the girls faded into a hush, their little faces lit with a mix of excitement and hope. His heart raced, a tumultuous blend of fear and longing swirled within him. "Daddy?" The question hung there, suspended. The innocence in her voice was a tether to a past filled with warmth and light. Was it really that simple? Could they stitch their family back together, like a patchwork quilt? Jack glanced at Kate. Her eyes shimmered, a mixture of hope and trepidation mirrored back to him. He could feel the weight of all that had passed, the betrayal, the broken promises. Yet, looking into his daughter's wide-eyed faces, he felt the shadows of doubt slacken just a little. They needed stability, a semblance of normalcy. Could he really deny them that chance? "Can Mommy stay with us, just for tonight?" The hopeful plea from the other daughter broke through his spiraling thoughts. Jack felt the tightness in his chest soften. Maybe it wasn't about forgiving Kate just yet, maybe it was about their girls, about giving them a fragment of what family should feel like. With a deep breath, he finally nodded, his voice steady though his heart raced. "Okay. For tonight, she can stay." The room erupted into a flurry of excitement, the girls jumping up and down. Jack stole a glance at Kate, whose face lit up like the sun breaking through clouds. She brought her hands to her mouth, stunned, as if she could hardly believe it. But he wasn't done. "Kate," he added, his voice firm yet soft, "this isn't a free pass. We need to talk, really talk. There's a lot we need to work through." "I'll do whatever it takes," she said earnestly, taking a step toward him. "I want to be in their lives. I'm ready to show them who I am." As the girls shrieked with joy, Jack struggled against the storm brewing inside him. Could he bring himself to trust her again? The warmth of the girls' laughter filled the room, but shadows danced in the corners of his mind. "All right, everyone," he steered the moment. how about some ice cream? Their excited squeals filled the air. Jack smiled reluctantly, but as he turned toward the kitchen, he felt a glimmer of warmth in his chest. The sight of Kate, sitting beside the girls, sharing their joy, was a sight he hadn't imagined he would see again. The sound of tiny footsteps pattering behind him was immediately followed by more giggles, creating a cocoon of laughter that started to mend the rift in the room. As he scooped ice cream into bowls, he felt his daughters reaching out, tugging at his shirt to pull him back into their little world. Slowly, he turned around, cupping each of their faces in his hands, feeling the softness of their cheeks. "Hey, you two," he said, a smile breaking through, "promise me something. No matter what, we'll always have each other, okay? No matter what storms come our way. Okay." They chimed together, their voices ringing like little bells. Kate observed them, the warmth of the moment washing over her. There was hope swirling in the air, thick with shared dreams, the taste of renewed connection hanging just out of reach. Jack's heart quivered with the possibilities, but as laughter filled the kitchen, a shadow flicked across Jack's heart. The realization that this wasn't a guarantee lingered. They would need to face the past, confront the shadows that had darkened their doors, all while navigating the choppy waters of love and betrayal. Before any of it could settle, he felt an uneasy ripple through him. Could this new beginning last? Would the strength of their bond be enough to outlast the errors they had made? As the laughter continued, he couldn't shake the feeling that the real journey was only just beginning. Jack placed the bowls of ice cream on the table, his hands steady despite the whirlwind in his heart. The girls dove into their treats with delighted squeals, their laughter wrapping around him like a warm blanket. Each smile was like a beam of light, cutting through the shadows that still loomed large in his mind. That he had always imagined family nights filled with joy, where the chaos of kids and the comfort of shared love filled their home. But tonight felt different. Kate was there, sitting beside the girls, her laughter mingling with their innocent joy. It felt right, yet so precarious, like a fragile bubble that could burst at any moment. "Jack, did you see the new flavors?" one of his daughters exclaimed, her mouth full of chocolate chip ice cream. "No, I didn't," he replied, forcing a smile. He glanced at Kate, who was sharing small bites with the other girl, giggling at their sugar-coated mess. For a moment it was easy to forget the heartache, the distance they had battled. But as the moment stretched, the reality of their situation washed over him like a cold wave. There was still so much unsaid, a pile of hurt that needed unpacking. Jack felt the tension coil within him, battling against the warmth that being with his daughters brought. "Hey, girls," he said, making a decision in that instant. "Why don't we have a little game after ice cream? Something fun? How about charades?" Their eyes lit up again, and the bliss of childhood wrapped around them like cotton candy. He leaned over the table, chaotic giggles spiraling into the air, the weight on his heart battling against the swell of happiness in the room. Kate hesitated for a moment, observing him, then slowly nodded, her eyes sparkling with unshed tears. As the game began, Jack found himself caught up in the joyous interactions of his family. He laughed as his daughters clumsily acted out their favorite animals, their innocence breaking through the unsteady surface of his heart. Yet, in the back of his mind, the tension never fully faded. What would tomorrow bring? Would they actually shift from this fragile moment to something solid? Every time he looked at Kate, the memory of hurt and betrayal loomed, even as he saw the undeniable determination in her eyes, the yearning to be better for their girls. Their game drew to a close, the girls collapsing in fits of laughter and exhaustion. They tumbled to the floor, their faces flushed with joy. Jack felt his heart warm again, the love for his daughters outweighing the uncertainty. If only just for now. Kate gathered them up in her arms, her laughter intermingling with theirs. In that moment, Jack allowed himself to let go a little, to picture a future where they might be whole again. But reality crept back, and the ghosts of yesterday were not so easily banished. "I think we need to sit down," he said suddenly, his voice barely above a whisper, breaking the haze of happiness. The laughter quieted, and all eyes turned to him. "What's wrong, Daddy?" one of the girls asked, her innocence a bittersweet sting in his heart. Jack took a deep breath. There are important things we need to talk about, he said, glancing at Kate. Things that go beyond tonight. We need to figure out where we stand together. Kate nodded, her past regrets mingling with a renewed sense of purpose, but Jack could see the flicker of doubt in her eyes. In the stillness that followed, he could feel the weight of the world pressing down on him. What if they couldn't make it through? What if those shadows were too dark to overcome? He squeezed his eyes shut for a moment, wishing for clarity. But as he opened them, looking at his daughters encircled in Kate's arms, a thought flickered in the fog of uncertainty: was it possible to build something new on the ashes of what once was? As the girls settled down for the night, the warmth of their laughter started to fade into the background. Jack's heart skipped nervously at the thought of what lay ahead. Conversations that could shatter the fragile peace they had found, but also beckoned with hope. He glanced over at Kate, whose resolve was palpable. What would they uncover together as they confronted their past? Could rebuilding trust be a part of that journey, or would it only lead to more heartache? The evening had wrapped itself in uncertainty, and it dawned on him that sometimes, the things that hold the most hope can come from the most difficult conversations. The room fell into an uneasy silence. Jack's heart pounded in his chest as he sat on the edge of his seat, glancing at the girls nestled comfortably on the floor, their small heads leaning against Kate. The moment felt heavy, like the air before a storm. "Let us play a little game," Kate suggested, her voice a soft attempt to redirect their focus. "How about we play a round of questions? We can go around and share something we miss, something we love." Jack nodded, grateful for her effort to lighten the atmosphere. They started with their daughters, who chattered away, excitedly sharing their favorite things: stuffed animals, movies, and ice cream flavors. Their innocence brought him a fleeting smile, but it was like a band-aid over a much deeper wound. "Okay, my turn," Kate said, her eyes flickering with an energy that was both hopeful and wary. "I miss," she paused, biting her lip as she chose her words carefully. "I miss the happy times we had, Jack. I miss you." His breath caught in his throat. Her words weren't just wrapped in nostalgia, they were swimming in a longing that cut through the noise of the evening. He felt the warmth of her gaze upon him, and suddenly, all the hurt seemed to pulse to the surface. "Me too," Jack replied, his voice catching. "But it's hard to recapture that." "Maybe it doesn't have to be about recapturing," she countered, a note of determination in her voice. "Maybe it's about creating something new, together." There was an intensity in her eyes that sparked something deep within him. He could feel the tension pulling them closer, the possibility of something new forming in the air, like a whisper of spring after a long winter. One of his daughters broke the moment, her innocent confusion cutting through the thick atmosphere. "But how can we be a family if we're sad?" Jack's heart ached. "How do you explain that love and pain often walk hand in hand?" He reached over, pulling her into his arms. "You're right, sweetheart. But sometimes, being a family means being real with each other, even when it's tough. It's okay to be sad and it's okay to love too." Kate chimed in, wrapping her arms around them. They were both looking at her, and in that instant, he felt a flicker of connection, a thread slowly weaving back into place. The openness in her voice felt warm, like sunlight breaking through clouds on a dreary day. Jack took a deep breath. "Can we be honest? There's a lot we need to work through. I can't promise it will be easy." "I don't need easy," Kate said softly. "I just need us. Our girls need us." At that moment, Jack glimpsed the path forward. The path was messy, fraught with danger, but it could also lead to healing, to something beautiful. He found the courage to look deeper into her eyes, past the pain they had both endured. "This isn't just about us anymore, is it?" he whispered. "It's about them." Kate nodded, her expression reflecting a shared sense of resolve. They weren't just two broken pieces anymore, they were a family, a messy, complicated, but deeply loved family. Just then, the youngest called out, "Can we have ice cream again tomorrow?" Their laughter lightened the air, reminding Jack that there was joy still waiting to be discovered. And for the first time that evening, he felt a hesitant smile tug at the corners of his mouth. "Maybe we can," he said, glancing at Kate, who grinned back at him. But beneath the laughter, uncertainty still lurked. Could they truly navigate this journey? With every new step, the shadows of the past lingered, reminding him of how fragile this reconnection was. As the girls fell asleep, Jack lay awake, the muted sounds of their breathing filling the room. He turned to Kate, who was already watching him. "What if we falter?" he asked, vulnerability spilling into his voice. "We won't," she replied with quiet conviction. "Not if we keep talking." He held her gaze, feeling the threads of hope tighten around his heart. They had a long road ahead of them, but maybe together they could learn to embrace the difficult conversations and cherish the shared laughter. But a question lingered. Tucked away in the corners of his mind, what if the hardest discussions still lay ahead, waiting to unearth deeper truths? The sun rose gently the next morning, casting a warm golden glow through the kitchen window. Jack stood at the counter, pouring cereal into bowls. The image was almost surreal. The laughter of his daughters echoed through the house, their small voices filled with energy and the innocent joy of a Saturday morning. Kate entered the room, her hair slightly tousled, but her smile bright. "Morning, chef," she teased, walking over to the toaster. "Smells good in here." "Just cereal, but they seem to like it." He chuckled, glancing back at the girls, who were squabbling playfully over whose bowl was bigger. Kate joined him at the counter. "So, what is the plan for today?" she asked, her voice casual, though Jack could sense the underlying tension. He took a deep breath and leaned against the counter. "I thought we could take them to the park. It's been a while since we all went out together." "Sounds nice," she replied, stirring a spoon absently in her coffee. Jack caught her eye. There was hope there, but also fear and unspoken acknowledgement of the complexities that lay beneath the surface. As they finished breakfast, their daughters bounced with excitement, their faces lighting up at the thought of the park. The air felt lighter, buoyed by the anticipation of shared experiences, yet Jack felt a tightening in his chest. He knew this was a moment filled with the potential to rekindle what they had lost. They arrived at the park, the vibrant colors of the flowers and the laughter of other families enveloping them. The girls rushed toward the swings, and Jack and Kate exchanged a smile that was reminiscent of simpler times. As they pushed the girls, the sound of their giggles filled the air, a mix of joy and the sweet, innocent sound of laughter. "Do you remember when we tried to push them, and they both ended up falling off?" Kate asked, a gleam of mischief in her eyes. Jack laughed, the memory unfolding like an old film reel. "Yeah. We were so panicked, and all they did was giggle." They shared a moment of lightness before the atmosphere shifted. It was the reality of their past that swathed around them. Jack felt the urge to bring deeper topics to the surface, to lay the path toward healing, but the thought of ruining the carefree moment pulled him back. "Hey, let's take a walk," Kate suggested, breaking the silence. "I think I need to talk about this, about us." As they strolled away from the swings, the girls busying themselves at the sandbox, Jack's heart raced. The prospect of truly diving into their feelings both excited and terrified him. "Okay," he said softly. "Let's." They walked along the path, the trees casting dappled shadows on the ground. "It's been hard," Kate began, her voice steady but tinged with emotion. "I want to create something new, Jack. But there are things I still need, things we both need to work through." He nodded, feeling the weight of her words settle in his heart. Vulnerability hung in the air. "I know. I feel like I'm slowly understanding what you really want from me, from us. But I worry." "About what?" She pressed gently, her eyes searching his. "What if I can't be what you need?" The question nagged at him, as both a fear and a hope. "Then we'll figure it out together," she said, a conviction in her tone. "But we need to keep facing these fears. I can't do it alone." Her words reverberated in the space between them, a promise tinged with worry and possibility. Just then, a loud scream erupted from the sandbox, a series of happy shrieks blaring like alarm bells. They turned in unison to see one of the girls covered head to toe in sand, beaming with the joy of mischief. Jack couldn't help but laugh, relief flooded over him. It was a reminder that amidst their looming conversations, there were still moments of pure joy, simple, beautiful moments tied to the chaos of family. As they walked back, he felt the connection deepening. Yet, he couldn't escape the undercurrent of anticipation. They were standing on the edge of a breakthrough, but that leap into honesty felt daunting. Before he could settle into the warmth of that feeling, his phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, glancing at the screen. His stomach dropped. "What's wrong?" Kate asked, noticing his change in demeanor. "It's work," he muttered, his heart sinking. "Can it wait?" she urged, urgency coloring her voice. He hesitated, torn between the responsibilities looming over him and the fragile moment they were trying to capture. Jack knew he had to choose duty or connection. And just like that choice, another question loomed larger than all: would they be strong enough to face whatever came next together? Jack stood there, the phone buzzing relentlessly in his hand. The weight of expectation pulled him in two opposite directions. He could see Kate's concerned face, searching for reassurance, but the screen displayed a flood of urgent notifications that threatened to engulf him. "Jack." Her voice cut through the noise, steady but laced with suspense. He sucked in a breath. "I need to take this," he said, the words feeling heavy as they slid from his lips. He could sense the disappointment wash over her, but the responsibilities of work loomed larger than his desire to hold on to this moment. Turning away slightly, he answered. "Yes. This better be important." He listened intently, his heart still racing from the earlier conversation with Kate. In that moment, the laughter from the swings faded into the background. Instead, the urgent voice on the line droned on updates about meetings, client expectations, deadlines looming over him like storm clouds. It felt distant, yet every word dug deeper, pulling him from the joy and connection he craved. Jack glanced back at Kate, who was trying to wrangle their daughters away from the sandbox. The girls were laughing, covered in sand, draped in the innocence of childhood. In contrast, he felt worlds away, tangled in grown-up responsibilities. "Yeah, I can manage that. I'll get on it right away." He hung up, feeling a pang of guilt stab through him. He had just stepped away again. Kate was staring at him now, arms crossed. "Did you really have to take that?" He sighed, the frustration from the call bleeding into his words. "They're facing issues at work that I can't just ignore. You know that. But what about us?" She pressed quietly, her eyes searching his for understanding. "I know, Kate. I do know." His voice softened, trying to bridge the gap. "I want this too. But I'm stuck. It's like the ground is shifting beneath my feet." She dropped her arms, the fight gone from her voice. "I just need to know you're here, Jack. Not just physically, but emotionally too." His heart sank further. Realizing how often he was physically present but mentally absent hurt more than he expected. "I'm trying. I really am." Kate let out a breath, her expression shifting from frustration to a form of weary acceptance. "I want us to feel whole again. I miss that. And I miss us. We can get back there," he said, his voice thick with conviction. "Can't we?" Just then, the girls squealed again, darting toward them, their cheeks flushed from fun. "Look what we made!" one exclaimed, holding up a handful of gritty sand. Jack couldn't suppress a grin. "That's the best sand sculpture I've ever seen," he said, kneeling down to their level. In that moment, his worries about work slipped away. The pure, unfiltered joy radiating from his daughters melted the tension lingering between him and Kate. "See?" Kate whispered, drawing closer. "This is what we need more of." "I know," he replied, twisting to face her, their girls now digging into the remnants of sand castles. We just have to figure out how to balance everything. I can't let work take over my life, or us. Kate looked hopeful for a moment, but then that fear crept back into her gaze. It's not just work, Jack. It's about how you prioritize what matters most. His heart raced as he weighed her words, the enormity of their conversation looming over him again. He reached for her hand, intertwining their fingers, a silent promise to tackle this together. Then, his phone buzzed again, cutting through the peace they'd built in the handful of seconds. Jack hesitated, feeling an internal battle surge once more. Should we check it? Kate asked, her voice tinged with uncertainty. No, he said firmly. Today is about us. About them. But as he turned his back to the phone and focused on their daughters, he felt a nagging sensation in his gut. The world outside that moment was relentless. Could he truly fight to keep it all at bay? And that stark reality ended up being the most pressing question of all. Would they be strong enough to face the chaos with love at the center? Would they rise above it all? Jack stood there, holding on to the moment that felt so fragile yet so full of promise. The laughter of his daughters painted a vibrant picture against the doubts swirling in his heart. He drew a deep breath and turned away from the work obligations that tried to claw their way back into his mind. This was where he needed to be present with his family. Look, sweethearts, this is a masterpiece. He beamed, kneeling down to their sandy sculptures, letting the giggles fill the air. Watching them, he felt a warmth blossoming inside, a defining clarity began to seep through the fog of uncertainty that had accompanied him for so long. Kate knelt beside him, a flicker of joy sparking in her eyes. Maybe we should take a picture, she proposed, pulling out her phone. Jack felt a mix of amusement and gratitude. She was instinctively capturing the beauty of their family's narrative, the chaotic yet radiant moments that brought them together. Say family. Kate chimed. Family. The girls echoed, their voices high-pitched with excitement, and in that instant, a snapshot of joy immobilized everything else. He saw the happiness imprinted on their small faces, innocence and love circled around them like a shield against the world. Jack pulled his daughters close, wrapping an arm around each of them. They giggled with delight, and for a heartbeat, he felt as if time itself dared to stop, allowing him to bask in the warmth of their affection. Memories of laughter and the sweet chaos of family painted on a canvas that felt timeless. But he knew deeper conversations awaited. The challenges that had cast shadows over their hearts weren't just going to fade away. Can we have ice cream after lunch? One daughter chirped, breaking his reverie. As silly as the question was, it brought Jack back to the present moment. Of course. But only after we finish our sandwiches, he replied, an ease in his tone. Okay. They squealed, transitioning effortlessly from one delightful pursuit to another. He watched them as they jogged off to chase after a butterfly, Kate's laughter resonating in the background. As they settled on a picnic blanket, Jack turned to Kate, the weight of what they needed to discuss cloaking the moment like a whisper. Can we talk? His words came out softer than he intended, yet they held a gravity that brought silence. Yeah, she nodded, her smile slipping slightly, replaced by an earnest expression. I'm here, he said. I want to try and balance everything. You, the girls' work. I don't want anything to come between us again. Kate took a breath, her gaze unwavering. I want that too, Jack. But it means opening up, really. She seemed to wrestle with the weight of her own past, a bone-deep exhaustion evident in her features. He reached out, brushing his fingertips against hers. We can do this. I'm committed to the process. The contact sparked a flicker of understanding between them, a common goal taking shape amidst the flickering doubts. He glanced over at his daughters, who were teasing each other in giggles. They were the heartbeat holding Jack and Kate together. Maybe we can start by focusing on moments, you know. Like this one, here. Whatever happens, can we keep talking about how to make them meaningful? I love that, she replied softly, fresh hope filling the air around them. Moments aren't just to remember, they're to build from. A shared smile blossomed between them, a dawning recognition that despite the past, they were already taking a step into a better future, one rooted in trust and a willingness to be vulnerable. As the hours passed, Jack and Kate opened up, navigating through dreams, old wounds, and unspoken fears. Their words were stitched together with laughter and tears, a painful yet beautiful journey illustrating their commitment to each other. In the soft light of dusk, as they watched the girls run back and forth like the flutter of fireflies, Jack felt a swell of gratitude that settled in his chest, a feeling that they might heal together in ways he never thought possible. "Mommy, look!" one of the girls cried, spinning gracefully. Like a dandelion caught in the breeze, her joy soaring. And there it was, the snapshot of their future, waiting to be written, bright and unscripted. Jack's heart overflowed, and he leaned closer to Kate, whispering, "We will embrace the chaos, we." "We will," Kate affirmed, her smile wide, steadfast. With their family unit recovering and the air rich with laughter, Jack knew the road ahead would come with mountains and valleys. Challenges would surface, but together, they were already clambering up that hill, hand in hand, ready to face whatever came next. And as the stars began to peek through the twilight, illuminating the night, Jack made a silent promise: he would fight for this newfound harmony. They were a family, and nothing would bring him down without a resolute stand to protect that, and with that thought, they dove into the night together, ready to write the next chapter of their beautiful, chaotic journey. Don't miss out on more heartwarming transformations. You need to subscribe now to the channel to keep enjoying exclusive stories like this one. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second.